honestly, I couldn't help it. I was super excited. You were there last year. Oh, hello. Today, we're going to talk about the Oscars, the madness, the surprises, and one victory that had me so excited I may have hurt myself. Yes! Yes! Whoa! Oh! Yes! Yes!
Sack it!
It was a great night. Some have claimed this to be a very predictable Oscars, other than the shorts, obviously. But I'll be honest, man, some of these surprises, while very little, were so surprising to me. Even the ones that I predicted, like I knew I'm Still Here was going to win deep down in my heart. But when they called that name, after the love that Emilia Perez has received this award season, 13 noms and only 2 wins.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! Boom!
And that's where I want to start. You saw that video. Imagine how excited Brazil has to be. That was like Eagles winning the Super Bowl level of excitement, and it's for an Oscar. But it's such a shift in what we expected just a month ago when Emilia Perez got all of these nominations, when Emilia Perez was winning all of these international feature films. And I said it in my predictions video, man. I genuinely believe when I'm Still Here got those surprise nominations, more and more people in time to vote for the winners, they were able to go check out this movie and realize how special it is. And with the preferential ballot, you have enough people that love a film putting it in that number 1 spot, regardless of those that do love. And admittedly, it was probably a close race. A lot of people probably gave Emilia Perez first place votes, but then it also probably got some lower votes. Whereas I'm Still Here, I would assume for the most part was 1, 2, or 3 on most ballots. And that's pretty cool. And so I look at that as my least surprising surprise of the night, meaning I predicted it, I kind of saw it coming, but I was still so excited when it happened, man. For everyone that has been super passionate about that film outside of Brazil, amazing. For everyone inside of Brazil, amazing. And then there was a part of me that was like, man, if I'm Still Here wins this award as this night went on, there was a little piece of me that thought maybe Fernanda Torres could win. But you look at what Anora was able to do in all of these other categories, and just to kind of shift over to Anora, to see it win editing, that was when the night changed for me. Because prior to that, I believe it was only screenplay, but I was still expecting, Sean Baker's going to win. There's a chance Mikey Madison wins. Who knows? It's going to get all the things that we expected to get, and that's probably going to lead us to picture, right? Well, when it won editing, which was a surprise, because a lot of people had Conclave. I would say most people had Conclave. We've talked about the Culture markets. I need to go back and look, but you go and you put money on Anora to win editing. I assume you got a good payout from that, to be honest with you. And it's one of those times where I look at all the movies nominated, and then I look at who was in first place. Conclave, and I said it last night, Conclave is a movie that has the least flashy type of editing, meaning you've got movies, biopics, musical films. I mean, Emilia Perez and Wicked were both nominated in that category, where the editing is so, flashy, but in the case of Wicked, I would say more in a good way. In the case of Emilia Perez, I'd say more in a bad way, which is still crazy to me it got nominated. Now, a movie like Dune, which somehow didn't get a nomination, I think that's the best of both worlds. It's blockbuster-esque, but it's still so subtle and so beautiful and meant to mesmerize you in such a perfect way. Doesn't matter. Didn't get a nomination. If I would have voted, I would have voted for The Brutalist, but I'm going to say Anora was a nice mix of both. Not super in your face. Some of the cuts were fantastic. Some of those very tension-filled moments when you're cutting to something a little more calm, vice versa, right? It's just a beautiful blend of both. So really, I should have seen I should have seen that coming. A film like Anora has that nice best of both worlds feel. Conclave more subtle, less in your face. And the moment it won that, part of me knew it was going to win Best Picture. And I said it over and over, and apologies if I was annoying. Well, I was annoying, so I do apologize. But I kind of knew it was going to win Best Picture at that point. And that was really when the tide started to turn for Best Actress. Because where I was at, and I know it makes a lot of sense, right? It's the Nomadland, Frances McDormand thing. It's like, how is the star of the Oscar-winning film not going to win Best Actress? But Demi Moore had so much going for her. It's not like The Substance was a 2-time Oscar-nominated film, and she was one of them. The Substance got, I believe, 5 Oscar nominations, a Best Picture nomination. Yes, it was the horror genre, and at the end of the day, I think that's a big factor into why she didn't win, to be honest with you. But it was a movie that got a lot of love. Because it got a lot of love and because it got that makeup win, and I believe that was its only win of the night, those kind of factored into me saying, okay, she's got that plus the narrative, plus she's been in the game for a long time. She kind of deserves to get hers. Mikey Madison will get hers one day, but today was that day. And it's almost the opposite of Timothée Chalamet, right? I thought Chalamet would be the same thing, both of them in the same case of they're both going to get theirs. Today is not their time, but yesterday was Mikey Madison's time, was not Timothée Chalamet's time. Now, a big factor, obviously, was Anora winning Best Picture, which you saw my ranking video. You know, for me, I believe it was 4 or 5 on that list. I would have preferred The Brutalist. I would have preferred Dune. I would have preferred I'm Still Here. No, The Substance. I had The Substance above it. But for it to be in the upper echelon of my 2024 list, a top 12 movie of last year for me, and to win Best Picture, not as hyped as I was about Everything Everywhere or Oppenheimer being my number 1 of the year and the Best Picture winner. That is very rare when that happens. Parasite's the closest we've gotten since then, but even then, 1917 was my number 1 of that year. But for it to be top 12 is still pretty cool, right? This is something that I'd say is a bit more on the rare side for me, where Best Picture is, I believe, one of the best movies of last year. Now, Anora's not everyone's cup of tea, but neither was Uncut Gems, and I liken them to be very similar movies, very similar experiences to each other. And so Anora kind of owning the night, not a technical sweep. All you literal people, bunch of Draxes in the comments, not a sweep, it only won. Well, nobody thought it was winning supporting actor, so you could have marked that out December 15th. Like mid-December, we knew it wasn't, but it was enough to say Anora swept the awards that we thought it would sweep, plus one that I didn't think it would sweep. All in all, having an amazing night. Now I go to a movie like Emilia Perez. We knew it was winning what it won, so no surprises there. I don't hate Zoe winning, although the narrative, and somebody said in the comments yesterday, really the best part of a bad movie, you're going to be okay with that? I mean, it wasn't a strong category to start with. If somebody was in there giving a Divine Joy Randolph performance and Zoe would have won, yeah, I would have been pissed. Absolutely. I still prefer Ariana Grande and, frankly, most of the other nominees over Zoe Saldana. But it wasn't, top tier followed by a huge gap. It was more so they're all somewhat clumped together. And so because Zoe came out of that alive, okay. Best song. If I had to pick a song from Emilia Perez, it would be that one. It's not a bad song. It's a bad movie. It's not a bad song. So hopefully this is the last time I'm ever mentioning this film. Right, Killian? We've got to give a shout out to Killian here. He was there with me through all the insanity. He was there. He's my best friend. All of him. I had all of him last night. In the video.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
But the fact that it won 2, and then Dune won 2, and then Wicked won 2, I'm just like, yeah, one of those things doesn't belong. It's that clown meme where it's all the army soldiers, one is a clown. That's kind of how it feels. But thank God it's over. We will talk about Wicked again because part 2 is coming this year. We will talk about Dune again because hopefully Messiah comes out and is the return of the king of the trilogy in terms of Oscars. I don't see how it can outdo part 2 in terms of a movie. Because that's good. And it's crazy to me that the first Dune won 6 Oscars, the second Dune won 2 Oscars, and Dune Part 2, in my opinion, is far and away a better movie than Dune Part 1. But I'd say, Dune as a whole has 8 Oscars, so whoop-de-freaking-do. Listen, 2, and 2. What really shocked me, though, I believe The Brutalist got 3, so that was in second place. We knew Brody was going to win. We knew cinematography. What else was it? Score. Yeah, that made a lot of sense without Hans Zimmer getting a nod. What really kind of shocked me was Conclave getting 1 win. After all the talk, and I still believe it was second place, okay? I still believe what would have been second. It wasn't a complete unknown. It wasn't Wicked. It wasn't Emilia Perez. Maybe The Brutalist was in second place, but I believe Conclave got second. Okay, we'll never know, but because it came up just short on the ones that was supposed to win, probably came up second in editing. Probably second in some of the text, maybe in score, maybe in costume design. The director wasn't nominated, and I think that's big, right? It is such a rarity that a movie wins Best Picture without a director getting nominated. I mean, it's happened. Ask Ben Affleck, okay? But it's a rarity. And so that should have been our first sign, like, the director didn't get a nod. That is a fairly big deal. And none of the performances were at the forefront of the conversation. Ralph Fiennes wasn't at the forefront. Rossellini wasn't at the forefront. But I've said this, right? It was very much an ensemble movie. And I believe next year is the first year we get the casting Oscar, right? I think casting comes into play this next year. And so that could have worked in the favor of Conclave. Conclave could have won an Oscar. I still think maybe it would, because I believe the BAFTA went to Anora. Maybe it would have won. But Conclave could have won another one. But it went home with 1. Less than Dune, less than Wicked, less than Emilia Perez. That's not great, okay? That's a big deal. And so, yeah, the second place, what I believe to be the second place Best Picture winner, was Conclave, and it got 1 Oscar. What a wild night. And I say a wild night meaning the things that happened, we kind of knew they were going to happen, barring, and I went out there on a limb, and I tried to pick a major upset. I went for documentary. I should have went for, like, animated film, even though Flow was a coin toss. It was 60-40. It was 55-45. But that's not, it was somewhat of an abnormality last year with The Boy and the Heron. Not anymore. That's 2 in a row. The smaller budgeted international animated feature films getting the win over the bigger studio movie, over a Spider-Verse, over a Wild Robot. It is no longer an abnormality. Best animated feature is no longer going to be a breeze. We just picked the Pixar movie. No, that's not the case anymore. I think when Guillermo del Toro said a couple years ago, you got to start taking animation more seriously, I believe people did, and I think that is working in favor for a movie like Flow. Now, Flow wasn't my favorite of the year. I liked it. I think it's a good movie. I would have went with, The Wild Robot easily, Memoir of a Snail easily. I would have went with Inside Out 2 over Flow. That does not mean Flow is a bad film just because I had it 4 out of 5. And I'm really happy for those people that worked so hard on that movie and they were involved in crafting something with such a low budget that got the love and the adoration that at the end of the day, I'm happy, I'm satisfied with. But again, I go back to that international feature. Can we talk about it again? I'm still here. Killing, you were there. How was it? What a wild night. What a fun night. I need to know in the comments, what was your biggest surprise? Your biggest snub? What did you expect to happen? And I'd just love to know where your head is at now, reflecting on this awards season, because there's a lot to reflect on, especially if you kind of didn't expect some things to happen last night. And stay tuned, right? If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you didn't watch last night's big event, go check it out. It's on the channel now, because we are going to be ranking the last 10 Best Picture winners. We're going to be talking the biggest all-time Oscar snubs. And then this weekend, way too early, Oscar predictions. Once that's out of the way, it makes way for my best movies of the decade. I appreciate you all for watching. It's Daredevil week. It's Mickey 17 week. We move on to the next big thing on this channel, and I thank you all for joining in. All right, stay tuned for some fun stuff coming on the community page. I will see you very soon.